Hey, this is Chris from Rekkid Talk. So I'm going to talk about the 10 most important records that you should have in your collection. So maybe you're a newbie to record collecting, and so you need some help. And there's a lot of us experts in the vinyl community that are more than willing to tell you what kind of records you should have in your collection. So I'm going to go through them 10 through 1. So number 10 is you should obviously have whatever the latest overly expensive ex-Beatles record or reissue is. So like last year, that was the McCartney 3. So you have a near octogenarian releasing something in 80 different color variants. Right now, you can get that George Harrison All Things Must Pass Uber box set for like $1,000. There are many other channels you could go to on the internet if you want to see some winking about those different color variants or that Uber box set. But I have something that combined together all of the Beatles number one hits all together. And I miraculously found it in a local store several years ago. And so this one has all of the number one hits by the Beatles all on like a single disc. So it's pretty cool. That's a pretty important one to have in your collection. You might want to check Discogs, or you might be able to find this in the wild if you go to like a thrift store or a pawn shop. You might be able to find this. Number 9, you should of course have expensive jazz records in your collection. So some of the names you probably heard them talking about: Tone Poets, they're expensive. Music Matters, Lo-Fi, they're even more expensive. There's that company that makes those $600 records. And so I've got a very expensive jazz record right here. It's by Pete Fountain. It's on the Coral label, which is even better than Blue Note. People always talk about Blue Note, but look, this is the Coral label. I think this is an original pressing. And just look at the back jacket. Look at that. That just exudes class. You've got the Sheik of Araby on here. So this is a very expensive jazz record. And I found it in an antique store, and I don't think they knew what kind of treasure they even had, because they didn't charge me very much for it. Now, if you're not into the Beatles, you're not a Beatle nerd, or you're not a jazz bo, maybe you're a punk rock kind of guy. And so you should have punk records that no one else has heard of. And they should be on some sort of cheap, crappy format. 7-inch singles are great. Cassette tapes are great if you want to show that you have real punk roots. So we've got, this is, look at this. This is Green Day, Dookie. The Masturbation Lost Its Fun. It's, look at this cheap, crappy cassette it's on. And so I know some of you are saying, but wait, didn't Green Day become a big band, and aren't they kind of considered sellouts? Well, okay, I've got this 7-inch single. This is an import from the Netherlands. Look at that. It doesn't even have the big hole. It has the little hole, the weird plain label. Stekkelvarken Records. You never heard of Stekkelvarken Records? But it's a real punk record. So, like, one side has like an ironic cover. So the Lemonheads do an ironic cover of Suzanne Weber's Luca. And then there's an interview on the other side, and it's really funny because the guitar player pretends like he's the lead singer during the interview, and I don't think the Dutch woman doing the interview for the radio station even knew that she was being punked by these guys. I know you might be saying that the Lemonheads really aren't punk, but what's more punk than a bunch of rich kids from prep schools in Boston? There's nothing more punk than that. Okay, maybe you're more into singer-songwriters than punk, by Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan's the greatest songwriter ever. He has a golden voice. This is my favorite Bob Dylan record of all time. So it's called Dylan. It was right before he switched labels. And it was a really brave choice by him, because I know he won like a Nobel Prize and everything, but these are like songs other people wrote. Mr. Bojangles, The Ballad of Ira Hayes, Big Yellow Taxi, Can't Help Falling in Love. And you just got to see the vinyl here, how great it is. Okay, it's a little bit scratched, a little bit scuffed up. Wait, Jackson Browne? Somehow... so when I was going through my dad's records, somehow there's a Jackson Browne disc in this Bob Dylan cover. Okay, so maybe that's not the best thing to have in your collection, but you can have a Van Morrison record, because everything I said about Bob Dylan, great songwriter, golden voice, everybody will respect you if you have Van Morrison records in your collection. So there's a Van Morrison record. Oh, wait, that's an Eric Clapton record. I got my elderly anti-vaxxers confused. All right, let's move on. You should have some diversity in your record collection. It shouldn't all be old white guys in your record collection. And so this is the highest selling record of all time, Michael Jackson Thriller. Nothing controversial about this guy. I don't have the most elite copy, but look, some DJ had it, 124.6 beats per minute. And if we pull out the disc here, so if you look carefully, 124.6, you see all that scuffing, circular scuffing on track 2? That's Billie Jean, so I think some DJ was scratching along to Billie Jean. So, obviously you want to have that in your record collection. Don't go out and buy a new reissue. Find an old beat-up DJ copy. It actually makes Michael Jackson Thriller better. Now, obviously you should have something that's not sexist or tacky in your record collection. So, you could have some sort of Lilith Fair sort of fair. You could have a Sarah McLachlan record, that sort of thing. But maybe you don't have any of that, so you could just go this route instead. You could have your Scorpions Love at First Sting. Or there are even other Scorpions records that have even more, even tackier and less tasteful covers than this. Rock You Like a Hurricane. There's nothing sexist about the lyrics to that song. Nothing at all. Bad Boys Running Wild. Yeah. So you should have a record like that in your record collection. Scorpions Love at First Sting. And then we'll have a big ending. The final 3 are going to be like your audiophile starter kit. There's no way anyone's going to take you seriously unless you have some audiophile approved records. So, of course, you have to have Supertramp, Breakfast in America. It's mandatory if you want to be an audiophile that you have this record. I mean, the Logical song's kind of cool. Maybe the rest of a lot of the album's kind of boring, but that's not important. It'll sound really good on your system, so you should have Supertramp, Breakfast in America. Even better than Supertramp, Breakfast in America is Steely Dan. And the Steely Dan record you should have, if you only have one, is Asia. And ideally, you would have more than one copy of this. I have 2. That sticker happens to say import on it. This is a German pressing. And so the really cool thing to do when you're an audiophile is to buy multiple copies of the same record and listen for minute differences. That's a lot of fun. That's a lot more fun than buying other records and exploring other types of music. Listen to Deacon Blues 10 times on 10 different records. And then finally, the number 1 thing, you have to have a Pink Floyd record, but it shouldn't be The Wall because, Amazon.com will send you The Wall if you join their record club. So you want this one instead. You want the Dark Side of the Moon. Now, you're going to ignore the fact that I have like this very recent reissue. What you want to do is you want to spend a couple $100 and get one of the original pressings of Dark Side of the Moon. That, in fact, that's what I should do, and then I should compare it to this recent schlocky reissue that I have. So hopefully that will give you guys, if you're a new record collector, some hints as to the sort of 10 most important records you should have in your collection.